Alright, hello everyone. We are gonna run Lurrus Jund back through another modern league. Gonna give this guy another shot. Of the decks that I've tested in Modern Horizons 2 so far, this is one of the ones that I've been most impressed with. Just some of the synergies between Lurrus and a lot of these two-man threats that they printed in Modern Horizons 2 and Turok and Dothy Voidwalker. Pretty impressive. Really been enjoying this shell. So yeah, we're just gonna give this another run back and see how it does. Looking for a good record. Hopefully we get some good games here. Couple minor changes to the sideboard since last time. I've cut the Cleansing Wildfires in favor of Break the Ice. As much as I think Cleansing Wildfire is a really solid Magic card, I think Break the Ice is more suited to what the current metagame is building out to be. Yeah, there's a couple matchups where Break the Ice can definitely change the way the matchup plays out. So I definitely think that's going to end up being more impressive than Cleansing Wildfire was. Obviously, it not drawing a card is not ideal, but you know, it's okay. So a couple cool new additions here. We're just gonna give this a shot. I did choose to put in a couple Weather the Storms for the burn matchup specifically. And this could be very well incorrect. I do think that Weather the Storm is a very powerful card, specifically against burn. However, against the prowess decks, it's not great. So we're just gonna have to see how that one goes. Although, to be clear, I haven't seen a ton of prowess decks on Magic Online lately. I don't necessarily think that the prowess decks are going to be super prominent. Yeah, this hand seems fine. We'll keep the one-laner with the ignoble. Go grab green and black. Forest Elf. Yep. Not an elf. Human Druid Noble Hierarch. Versus the Ig Noble Hierarch. So I think we will lead on Inquisition, and we'll probably just be fatal pushing the Noble Hierarch. Okay, so this is a infect deck, so they've got blooming, or I'm sorry, blossoming defense, dismember, might of old Crosa, scale up. So they don't have an infect threat aside from Inkmoth Nexus, and the only protection spell that they have is blossoming defense. So I could take the blossoming defense with the assumption that that's going to be able to protect it the best. Problem is that if I take the blossoming defense and then they get to untap and go Inkmoth Nexus, dismember my ignoble hierarch, that's probably pretty beneficial for them because I'm not going to make a second land this turn. So I think I have to take the dismember, and I'm just going to fatal push the noble hierarch and just try and choke them on mana. Wooded Foothills Glistener Elf. This card can be Abrupt Decayed. I'm just going to play out Dothy. Ideally, we find like a Renin 6. We definitely didn't want the 4th Dothy. Interestingly, we can sacrifice Dothy to grab their Wooded Foothills and play it. And we might be doing that next turn. Although, we're just dead here. Yeah, we're just dead to them going scale up plus might. So they found creature plus scale up might. And they had mana to block my Abrupt Decay. So, yep, turn 3 dead to the infect deck. I didn't really think about the combination of spells they had in their hand. It definitely panned out well for them, but that's okay. Our deck's probably pretty well positioned against theirs, so not a huge concern. Break the Ice does answer the Inkmoth Nexus. Somewhat interesting there. You can also bring in Collective Brutality to answer a creature plus take a card out of their hand. Abrupt Decay is probably our worst removal spell. Culligan's Command is not great because it's 3 mana. We don't really need Dothy in this matchup. Dothy's kind of awkward in this matchup through and through. So we'll do something like this. 4 out 1 Decay, 4 Dothy for these 5 removal spells. And we really just want to just like take all of their stuff away and then proceed to just kill them with whatever's left over. Yeah, his hand seems pretty solid. We get to go turn 1 Lightning Bolt, and then line up turn 2, turn 3, and 4 Culligan commands against opponent who has mulligan to 5. Go grab Blood Crypt. Yeah, we'll grab a Swamp. Thought sees them. They may have a Veil of Summer here. Okay, I'm pretty okay with Spell Pierce. Okay, well, if I had known I was drawing Ren and 6, I probably would have just gone for the line of Ren and 6, but I suppose this is better against if they had exactly mutagenic growth. And just making sure that it dies is probably more correct. We'll go with 2 modes. We'll go -2, -2. Take a look at their hand. I'll discard the peatland. Yeah, we'll take the scale up. Perhaps we'll do something like this, actually. We'll submit that. I'm not so sure that Break the Ice is going to end up being fantastic. I don't know that I got the, okay, I did. I got the sideboard changes put in. Yeah, this hand's okay. We get a turn 1 Thoughtseize. And then a turn 2 Abrupt Decay. Okay. Okay, take their Blighted Agent, and then it's just... Of course, they rip the Inkmoth Nexus. But we drew the red source, so one good draw deserves another, I suppose. And I am going to just take 2 Infect here. And I think I'll go ahead and fetch up a Mountain and bolt the Inkmoth. I probably should have gotten a Blood Crypt there. It's unlikely to matter a ton, but... So they crack Windswept Heath. Plus making sense. So it's a Wooded Foothills, Breeding Pool, and 1 unknown is what their hand is. Yeah, I mean, if this was the 3rd Break the Ice, this was definitely the spot where we want it, I suppose. But Culligan's command is still going to be pretty good, I would imagine. So what we're likely going to do this turn, so they're playing out Wooded Foothills. And they are choosing to animate the Inkmoth Nexus. Attack for 2. So here I'm going to go, you discard a card, destroy your artifact. Okay. And we got Spell Pierced. And I'm gonna go ahead and kick Turok. Still not in an ideal situation because we haven't taken the ink moth off the table, so we're not home free just yet. Crack the peatland here. Okay, another peatland. And I'm gonna go ahead and abrupt decay the noble hierarch. And attack for 3. King, still not dead. A lot of live draws from here. We need fatal push, lightning bolt. Okay, they're holding a forest. Go ahead and ping. I think it's probably more correct to ping the Dryad Arbor, because if they draw exactly like Vines of the Vastwood, they can't animate Nexus and kick. I guess they have a forest in their hand, so that's not necessarily true. I'm gonna go ahead and kill the Dryad Arbor, but this could be incorrect. I just have the Abrupt Decay in my hand for the Glistener Elf, so I'm kind of thinking let's line this up here. Nurturing Peatland is a good pickup with the Renin 6 next turn, so we do have like redraws. So we're pulling ahead, but we're still not out of the woods. Definitely die here at any second. Okay, take one more. There's a lot of cards we have that will kill this Ink Moth Nexus, and we just haven't found any of them. Man, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I thought for a second maybe they weren't animating the Ink Moth Nexus because they went to combat. But yeah, we're gonna die to that. Okay, that's unfortunate, but we just needed one card there. super unfortunate because the one sideboard change that I made for game 3 was Abrupt Decay for Break the Ice, thinking that Abrupt Decay was going to end up being better in some of these spots, but man, I just really needed to Break the Ice there. It's unfortunate. Yeah, I'll keep this. Okay, given that they played Tribe Scout out, I am going to go ahead and just jam Ren and 6 into play and ping this. And then next turn we can go Dothy, uptick Ren and 6, pick up a land, go grab a swamp, and then Thoughtseize their Titan, ideally. And then Dothy can be traded for their Titan. Yeah, I'll just play out the Thing Marsh, that's fine. So we'll play out Dothy, Thoughtseize them, take their Primeval Titan, which gets exiled, and then shoot their Tribe Scout. And then it's just Simic Growth Chamber versus what we have in play going on. Urza Saga is interesting. They're going to get to make a couple constructs here with that. Okay. Doing this +2/+0. Probably just gonna kill the Ren if I had to guess. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah, and I think I will go ahead and just trade this and just cast their Titan. And I'll grab a Blood Crypt and a Wooded Foothills. And then we'll play out yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll kick the Torok. I just want to take their bounce land out of their hand. I suppose I probably should have kicked Turok while Dothi was still in play, just to put this in exile. Doesn't really matter a ton, but... Okay, explore. And they conceded. I do think Break the Ice is still playable in this matchup, even though it doesn't technically hit like their bounce lands, which is obviously the best targets for it. You still can get like Slayer Stronghold, what's the double strike land? Sunhome, Caverner Souls. There's still some like decent targets for Break the Ice. Whether or not I want to bring it in this matchup, I'm not entirely sure, but we're gonna see. Engineered Explosives is definitely a plausible option. Usually their most absurd draws are the ones where they start with multiple amulets. So being able to clean that up can definitely come up. This obviously just being a removal spell for Dryad later down the line also is fine. What cards do we have that are not so great? Lightning Bolt is not so great. Lightning Bolt is like the one removal spell that kind of doesn't matter. Fatal Push is great because it kills Dryad and it kills their little guys if you need it to. Abrupt Decay does effectively the same thing, as well as Abrupt Decay also targets the amulet. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring in 2 explosives and I think 2 Break the Ice. Maybe not Break the Ice, actually. I don't know, this card just seems kind of whatever. I think we'll bring in the Lightning Bolt. We'll bring in a couple bolts instead of the Break the Ices. Bolt is like, I think if you have the option of bolting a Sakura Tribe Scout on turn 2 or turn 1, or like break the icing a Cavern of Souls, like I would rather bolt a Sakura Tribe Scout on 1. Sounds a little awkward, but it's really powerful if we get our second land. So I'm gonna keep the Greedy Keep. I'm gonna take the Greedy Keep. And if they play a turn 1 creature, I'll likely be Fatal Pushing it. If they don't, I'm gonna turn 1 Thoughtseize. Yeah. So turn 1 Thoughtseize off of Blood Crypt, I think. We'll take their Dryad. Okay. And Urza Saga. Never didn't have it. Grab Overgrown Tomb. I'm gonna play out a Tarmogoyf and just pick up the Bloodstained Mire. I'll probably grab a basic swamp with this, and then Fatal Push their construct if they make one. Suppose it's just a 1/1, so I don't really care too much about this. They're about to lose this Urza Saga. Yeah, I just like don't really care about this. Okay, playing Selesnya Sanctuary, which gets on tap. Oh, okay. So they are gonna get the Titan. Yeah, I did not think they were gonna have a mana to do that this turn, but I guess if I had thought maybe they had drawn a Titan, if I was under the impression they drew a Titan, and I had thought that they were going to have the mana to do it, I probably should have played out Dothy Thoughtseize that turn. I was more worried about the constructs. He's attacking me, he's not attacking the Wrenn and 6. Okay. I think I'll just take 8, go to 4. So could definitely be in bad shape here. We technically get to eat the Primeval Titan in combat here because of Culligan's command. So Culligan's command gets to shatter the Amulet of Vigor. and then also make them discard a card. And then the Tarmogoyf is just bigger than the Primeval Titan. Cannot, however, beat second Titan because we know they have the Slayer Stronghold in their hand. We'll run this back, but I could be convinced that it's incorrect to have EE in your deck against this deck. Yeah, this hand seems fine. I think I will lead on turn 1 Inquisition. There's some debate on whether or not you want to Inquisition after Dothy, because then you get to take the card and cast it, but I think I'll bear on the side of turn 1 Inquisition taking their turn 1 play if they have an amulet or something like that. Yeah, I'll take the explosives. And they are drawing a forest. Play out Madathi. Next turn, I'm likely going to pick up Lurrus. There's a Saga. So the question is, do they want to play out the Gruul Turf? I think they're supposed to play out the Gruul Turf. Because if they do, then they get to play their 6th mana source this turn, and they don't have to worry about anything. I think they considered it there for a second because they can use the Urza Saga to go grab an amulet. It's interesting they picked up the Urza Saga because now they don't get to play amulet. I don't have very many ways to actually take a Titan off the board if it hits the table, is like the main problem. I'm supposed to really beat them before they can get the Titan on the board. I could bolt the Azusa, and then the Azusa gets exiled to the Dothy. I could play the Verdant Catacombs, crack it, play Ignoble Hierarch, which I don't think sounds like a great line. I think I should just play Lurrus, play out Verdant Catacombs, and hold up Fatal Push, and then I'll play Bobble from the graveyard. And then I can crack Verdant Catacombs for either Stomping Ground or a Black Source to kill the Azusa if need be. Because we know their hand is Summoner's Pact, Primeval Titan, and then Urza Saga. So what can they do with that? The Summoner's Pact can go grab a green creature, which could be Dryad of the Elysian Grove, but that doesn't really do a ton here, at least not before playing the Titan. I think I'm just going to play Lurrus. I need to start drawing more cards per turn. I need to find my second lightning bolt to try and kill this Titan once it's the board. And I will just go ahead and play out the Verdant Catacombs. And I'll get in for 3. They can't block this. Okay, I got Boros Garrison on top. I think that means I want to go ahead and kill the Azusa here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. They actually can't cast Titan. I was under the impression they could. But by killing the Azusa now, they cannot cast the Titan. Oh, right. Oh, yeah, they can. Because they have the Urza Saga. My bad. So I think this next turn, I am going to just attack with both of my creatures. And if they choose to block the Lurrus, then I can obviously exchange Lurrus Bolt for the Titan, which I think is profitable for me. And I can Inquisition their Summoner's Pact if they choose to not cast it in response. If they choose to cast it in response, then they obviously have to tap 4 mana on their own turn. So I'll go ahead and cast Bobble. And they have F6, so I'm gonna go ahead and Inquisition them, take their pact. They chose not to block. So they can't activate Sunhome next turn. They're gonna get to transmute Teleria West, and they can cast a Dryad of the Elysian Grove. So I probably need to hold up mana specifically for that, because if they cast Dryad, then I do need to Abrupt Decay it. Otherwise, I'm just dead. Yeah, even if they have a white source here, we're not dead because we gained 3 life with Lurrus. I was gonna say I think we're dead to them having a white source, but we are not anymore because I forgot we gained the 3 life with Lurrus. Interestingly enough, we don't actually need Lurrus to connect next turn. We can just play an Ignoble Hierarch, attack for 4 with the Dothy with Exalted, and then bolt them. So we have lethal a couple of ways. I think we're gonna win this game. It's gonna be really close. They have to basically find something here that's gonna let them pull out of this. So they're transmuting for Pact, pacting for probably Dryad of the Elysian Grove, if I have to guess. And if they do this, I'm pretty sure we have them. Pretty sure we have them dead. Shadow is only by creatures with Shadow. Okay, I'm just double checking that. I can't remember which keyword ability it is that is they can only be blocked by black creatures or artifact creatures, something like that. So he pacted for another Titan. Does that do anything? So he's already played his land for the turn. Bog me Radiant Fountain. So I go to 9. Or they go to 9, rather. Yeah, the Radiant Fountain is pretty good here. Interestingly enough, we're still in a spot where they haven't... Okay, they're gonna grab another Radiant Fountain. They're gonna get another 2 life. Okay. They still haven't put a white source into play. I don't believe any of their cards from exile are going to assist us here. We are likely supposed to attack for 3 with Dothy, but play an Ignoble Hierarch before combat. And then plan for... This is actually really, really close. So I think I have to, so if we block with the Lurrus, it effectively counters 1 whole attack, right? So we take 6, normally he tramples over for 4, but we're gaining 3. So we take 1 total, and we would take 6 from the other Primeval Titan, so we're going to 1 effectively. And then we have Dothy, which puts them to 8. And then... Okay, so they're at 8. So then we attack them with Dothy again. They go to 5, and we have a bolt, so they go to 2. Man, the problem is that we can't let them untap, and Sunhome their guy, Sunhome their Titan. So we have to Abrupt Decay the amulet that they get off of the saga. Because if they get to put a bunch of lands into play and untap them, we're just in terrible shape. We're just going to lose outright to that. So, man, if one of these Ignoble Hierarchs was in play, we'd been in so much better shape. We just need 1 more green mana. So I am going to attack for 3. Put them down to 8. And we basically have to rip, I think it has to be basic forest or bolt. I think that's the only 2 ways we're gonna win this game, which, so we're like, our draws are fairly limited here. Not too sure what my opponent's doing, but I mean, they can't block, so. So yeah, they're gonna get to go grab an amulet here with this. Obviously, this is all like barring they didn't draw something crazy here. So yeah, they get to go grab amulet. Oh, right. This doesn't matter anyways, because the amulet still triggers. Yeah, we're just dead. I'm gonna go ahead and concede. I don't know why in my head I was thinking that I was gonna get to snag. It's because the saga triggers in the main phase, so... we had him though. Man, that feels bad. Culligan's man would have won that game if if sagas were templated the way that everybody thinks they should be templated at the beginning of your upkeep add a counter, or like in your draw step add a counter, like what, you know, like it's very weird that sort of sagas add counters at the beginning of your main phase. If they worked at the beginning of your upkeep, I think I win that game. Because they put the amulet into play, and I have an opportunity to respond by abrupt decaying the amulet. Then they can play the Boros Garrison, but they can't untap it, so they don't have white mana to activate the Sun Home. Okay? And then they attack me for 12. I block with Lurrus. Lurrus absorbs effectively 5 damage from one of the Titans. They trample over 4, we gain 3 life. We take 1, effectively. And then we would take 6 from the other Titan. We were at 8. We fall down to 1. They're currently at 8. We bolt them. They go to 5. We attack for 3 with Dothy. They go to 2. We Culligan's command them for 2. They're dead. Super close game. Unfortunate that we were not able to pull it out there at the end. We're probably supposed to mulligan to a faster hand against that deck, if I'm being honest. This hand seems fine. Obviously, Renin 6 is a little bit awkward in a hand with no fetch lands, but this hand has other things to do. You can play a turn 2 Tarmogoyf for Dothy. We still have a Bobble on 1, so we can start generating some value with Lurrus later down the line. Okay. What's this? Naming green. Not really too sure what that means. Is this Enchantress, maybe? Arbor Elf? We'll lead on Overgrown Tomb tapped, and I'm probably going to be playing Renin 6 to kill the Arbor Elf on turn 2. Ignoble is going to be slightly awkward on this curve. Oh, okay. Ignoble is going to be very awkward on this curve. Yeah, this is a little unfortunate. They, Blood Moon into pillage. And they're gonna pillage our 1 black source here. Turn 2 Blood Moon, still pretty good. If we draw a green source though, we are in the game. We have 1 green source, we have 1 black source, but the 1 green source that we have in our deck is like basically the only out that we have at this point. Not even really anymore because Ignoble Hierarch is going to die to a lightning bolt. However, if we do draw the green source, we still get to play Wrenn and 6, which is quite good. Okay. I'm just gonna pick them up. I don't think we're gonna get there. We've got so few outs and they're... Yeah, we weren't getting there for a little bit. I just don't want to play this game against the guy who plays Blood Moon on turn 2. We'll bring in EEs and brutalities, I suppose. It's going to be mostly an off-the-top kind of matchup, so I think I'm going to board out some of these discard spells. And we're just going to aggressively fetch for our basic lands. Aggressively fetch for basics and try and get a Wrenn and 6 into play as quickly as possible, such that if they pillage me, I get to just pick up my basic lands again. Man, I want to keep this. Yeah, I'll keep this. Just off the strength of Ignoble Hierarch giving us basically all our colors. Obviously, if this gets bolted, we're not in good shape. But that's okay. We get to play out of turn 2 Dothy. And honestly, this next turn, I'm probably just going to crack Dothy to take that fetch land out of their exile. I'm gonna take a pillage if they have one. Their hand is all gas. But drawing basic swamp is pretty good for us. Yeah, I think I'm just going to pass. And then if they play out any of their threats, we're just going to Culligan's Command to pick up my Ignoble Hierarch and kill their guy. Okay, I think this is fine. I'll just Fatal Push this one. He ate my Dothy. Gonna Mishra's Bobble them. They've got an Arbor Elf on top. Okay, they're drawing a Pillage. But I don't think it I don't think it matters too much at this point. They can't, for one thing, they can't cast it. For another thing, unless they can kill the Ignoble Hierarch, it kind of just doesn't do much. Second Blood Moon, you got it, bud. Okay, Bloodbraid into Tireless Tracker. Tireless Tracker. Okay. No attack. Okay, Noble Hierarch. Attack for 5. Yeah, we'll start there. I'll go ahead and bobble them. We're drawing a Relic of Progenitus. We'll Fatal Push the Tireless Tracker. I'll play out my Bloodstained Mire. Yep, you got a Relic. Probably just gonna crack this here if I had to guess. Yep, eat all the graves. Play out or Arbor Elf, yeah. I think I'm just gonna kill the Bloodbraid Elf. I don't really care about them having an Arbor Elf. Make them discard a card. Yep. Kind of felt like they were probably gonna discard Pillage, but just go ahead and kill this, play out my Tarmogoyf. Oh, you know what? I should have done 2 modes and then put Tarmogoyf in the graveyard and then just recast the Tarmogoyf from the graveyard. That would have been much better. Just to get a peek see at their hand, but not a huge deal. They're probably not going to be playing this game very much longer if I had to guess. Tireless Tracker. Hey, you made a clue. Abrupt decay this one. Bolt you. I'm gonna keep this hand because well, we get to go grab basic forest and then play an ignorable hierarch, and that's kind of just like probably one of the best things we can do in this particular matchup. Probably gonna get this bolted if I had to guess. Yep. I think that's pretty okay. They're not gonna be able to play a turn 3 Blood Moon because they had to spend their mana bolting on turn 1, so this means it gives us time to line up a swamp for the purposes of Inquisitioning them this turn. And I'm pretty okay with them just pillaging me turn after turn. I'm just going to take their threat. I'm just like holding 4 lands, so I just don't really care about them pillaging me. Yep, they're going to destroy my basic swamp. Okay, and destroy my basic forest. Somewhat curious if I want to just play Turok as a 2/1. I don't think I do. If I was able to land a Wrenn and 6 on that turn, they probably would have conceded on the spot if I had to guess, but I'm gonna go ahead and shock this into play, and I'm gonna go grab a basic swamp with this. And I am gonna go ahead and play out EE on 3, such that if they do play a Blood Moon, we have an answer for it. And I'm just gonna cast Kicker Turok. And this is like fine. Yeah, if they want to trade Bolt for Turok. This is definitely a little annoying. My game plan was definitely to line up Lurrus, and then start recasting some of the cards that they've exiled from our graveyard. So I'm just gonna start with exiling Inquisition. Go ahead and crack my peatland. It's definitely a little bit awkward. I'll go ahead and take a look at their hand. May bolt my ignoble in response. Yeah. They've just drawn all 4 lightning bolts? Yeah. Drawn all 4 lightning bolts. Mountain on top. I would like to eventually actually draw something that will kill my opponent. Ideally. Brennan 6. Culligan's command will qualify. That one definitely fits the bill. Arbor Elf on top for my opponent. And I will pick up Lurrus, you discard. My opponent is conceded. Couple close games so far. We lost to Infect in round 1. We lost to Titan in round 2. But we're probably supposed to beat the Infect matchup. That's one that we definitely got some. They stole from us. We had many, many draw steps in a row where we could have drawn a removal spell and we just didn't. Can't keep this one. I can keep this one. This one, in fact, is quite powerful. We'll just put a bauble on bottom. Oh, this looks like an artifact matchup. I do wonder how this matchup's going to play out. I was probably supposed to bauble myself before playing my land, but not a huge deal. Oh, okay, interesting. This is definitely a brew, so they're on. Okay. They're still on an artifact brew of some kind. I'm going to take Stoneforge Mystic. What's on top? I shouldn't have taken Stoneforge Mystic. I should have bobbled them first, given the line that I took. But mistakes will be made, I suppose. Suppose it doesn't matter too much anyways, because they technically don't have any white sources currently. They need an artifact before the spires start making white mana. What? Oh, they have an artifact, chat. I made a mistake. It's all coming together. So, interestingly enough, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here. I think I can, so I can obviously Inquisition my opponent, take away their Etch Champion or their Nettle Cyst. Or I can jam the Wrenn and 6 into play, pick up my fetch land, and then the Wrenn and 6 will die to Lightning Bolt plus attack from Stoneforge Mystic. I think I'm okay with that. I want to be on a board where I can get the Dothy down and then Inquisition them. And I think Tarmogoyf is going to be big enough to block pretty much everything that they're going to have. And obviously with their removal spells being damage based. So yeah, Wrenn, pick up my fetch land. And obviously, if they want to put the Nettle Cyst into play at a slight discount, they need to. They can't kill the Wrenn this turn, so that is good for us, obviously. So here, I think I'm gonna fetch up a Blood Crypt. You can double bolt now if you want. Opponent chose not to, but they thought about it. I think. Kind of what it felt like. Inquisition you. Nettle Cyst, Etch Champion. Okay, well, I really don't think I care about these Nettle Cysts. They're just going to be smaller than my Tarmogoyf. So I think I'm going to take the Etch Champion because it's like technically the scariest card, but I don't even know that it's like really all that scary. Play out my Tarmogoyf. And if he wants to kill the Tarmogoyf, he does have to double bolt it, or at least attack with a Nettle Cyst and then bolt it. And I'm like, I think pretty okay with them doing that. choosing to bolt the Rin. Also something that I'm pretty much okay with. Okay. Rin down. So I was gonna say, I was like, this is like, I'm gonna pick up Lurrus, play my fetch land, and say go. And like, if they want to attack now, we get to eat one of the germs in combat. And then they're probably just gonna suit up the other one with the other nettle cyst. Is like, this is all fine. Block. You got another bolt. Galvanic blast, okay. Again, this is pretty much all fine because once the dust all settles here, we're gonna play a Lurrus. And then Lurrus is going to let me replay this Tarmogoyf out of my graveyard. No attacks. I will play a Dothi. Okay. I will play a Dothi. Yeah. I assumed they were going to probably see this line, but it's really unfortunate. This is like probably the most powerful card in their deck. The rest of their deck seems to be kind of mopey. But yep, they got us. Engineered explosives is gonna be great in this matchup. Break the ice seems okay. Saucy is kind of whatever. Kind of getting the impression that more and more of these artifact and enchantment style decks are becoming popular in Modern, which I'm a huge fan of. Like, I'm a big fan of the decks becoming more based around these, you know, just like one card type kind of thing, right? Because like, it makes sideboarding so much easier. You just like, artifact deck, where are my collector roofs? Where are my Colligan's commands? Where are my ancient grudges? Give it to me. You know, like I haven't been able to sideboard in an ancient grudge in a little while, and like, you know, it feels good, right? I don't have an ancient grudge in this sideboard, but boy, I'm thinking about it. There's a lot of artifact deck running around right now. And then like enchantment style decks, kind of same thing, you know, like we could do something like, I think engineered explosives is like good enough to cover a lot of these bases right now. So I'm not like super worried about it. But you could definitely do something like Caustic Caterpillar in a deck like this. I think engineered explosives is better in a slot like that. But something along the lines of, you know, play my thing, sacrifice it to destroy your thing, replay it with Lurrus. That kind of, you know, synergy is cool for sure. I do think that engineered explosives is probably better though than Caustic Caterpillar, but just an example. I kind of want to try out a Grixis list, in all honesty. I'm a big fan of Grixis colors in general, and I think that if there's as many artifact decks running around right now, obviously with Urza Saga and whatnot, I think you could probably try out a list that is back on the, you know, like Colligan's Command, Snapcaster Mage sort of grindy plan, and maybe have some good games with it. So I'm kind of interested in doing something like that. This game's kind of awkward because it's like 4 1-drops that don't really do a ton in this matchup, and then Goyf. I am going to keep it though, because we do have the peatland that cycles. We're going to get to develop our mana very quickly. Also, the bolts are, you know, still good, obviously. We get to kill Stoneforge Mystics and whatever else. Opponent mulligan to 6. Razortide Bridge on turn 1. Colligan's Command's a very good draw. I'm gonna play out a Tarmogoyf and a second Noble Ignoble. He protects the fetid bog from light, life, and the hideous sound of laughter. Interesting. For a second there, I thought they done goofed. Okay, Tarmogoyf down. Pick up my guy. Back for 2. Did I board in the break the ices? I did. I boarded in all 3. That's probably incorrect, but this is definitely not anything to slough at. You know, this definitely gains us 5 life a turn whenever Lurrus and a couple noble hierarchs or ignoble hierarchs are in play. So this is a good synergy here. Yeah, I mean, I don't have another land. This is just a 2/2. Attack. I'm gonna bolt this. I'm gonna break your spire. I'm gonna replay my Tarmogoyf. And they are dead next turn. Or not dead next turn. I don't know why I thought this was gonna have 5 power this turn, but no matter. Probably should have cracked the peatland as well that turn, but not a huge deal. Dothy's such an interesting card. I feel like it's such a hard card to play with. They've got a lot of bolts in their deck, so it feels like they're just gonna kill it, but it's gotta be better than break the ice, right? Like, I just spent 2 mana to blow up a land that was not really gonna do anything. I don't know. Show you my Lurrus. This hand's gotta be great. I've got an engineered explosives. That means I'm gonna win. I'm gonna lead on Bobble myself. Go grab a Blood Crypt if I decide to fetch. If not, I'll just play the Bluebeam Marsh and Thoughtseize them. Somewhat interesting. I can choose to Thoughtseize post Dothy, but I think that's a little bit slow. I do not want a second Burning Catacombs. Yeah, I'll take your boom bust. Tarmogoyf. Getting a counterspell under the Dothy is pretty good for us. Like, pretty good. It's probably not going to come up, because, like, probably just be attacking with this anyways, but... And they're probably just going to point a Galvanic Blast at it, but... I think I will just attack with the Goyf. And like, yes, there they have the opportunity to point a Galvanic Blast at the Dothy, but now if they want to play anything, they have to do that first. Yep, he didn't make it. Black, red, green. I'll go ahead and bold this as well. Get it out of here. Could have waited until, you know, like post-combat or something, but it's not a big deal. They are holding 2 Galvanic Blasts. So I think I will just play out Lurrus here, and I'm just going to play EE on 0. Go ahead and bobble them. What you drawing? Drawing a counterspell. I'm gonna attack with Tarmogoyf. Okay. They did that on their end of turn. I was thinking they did that in my second main. Yep, this is fine. Now their hand is counterspell. Exactly. Counterspell bolt. I shouldn't have clicked away the counterspell, but that's okay. Crack to draw. Tarmogoyf. Probably gonna counterspell this. I'll just deploy the Renin 6, which I would much rather resolve. Just gonna go ahead and crack this, trade this. I'm just gonna use my mana this turn while I can. Grab back my peatland, play the peatland, crack it. Through a fatal push. I'll go ahead and get in for one. So obviously if I had chosen to push through the Tarmogoyf instead of the Renin 6, they probably would just be dead here, but still feel pretty good here. Glentus Crane is actually pretty good here. It's a card that draws them a card and is a flyer. So they found a land. The equip there does mean we get to snag their bolt with this Inquisition finally. Funnily enough, I actually don't think we're going to ultimate this Renin 6. The actual spells that we have in our graveyard are not that impressive. But our opponent's going to concede anyways. Okay, hopefully we can get the 3-2. Last time we played this deck on stream, we started 3-0-6-1 on games. And this time on stream, we have not failed to go to a game 3 in 4 matches. And we've lost 2 of them, we've won 2 of them. So, pretty close games in all 4 of our games here. No sweeps. To develop on the thought that I had earlier about a Grixis deck in this sort of metagame, I think I would probably try and build it with a Ragavan in mind. I think Ragavan is a very powerful card in a vacuum. Obviously, in Modern, where there's a lot of 1-mana removal spells, there's a lot of ways to pick off creatures with 1 toughness. Ragavan's going to look a lot worse in some games. But in a shell where you can play a discard spell on turn 1, dash Ragavan on turn 2, or even just play Ragavan on 1 and then remove some creatures out of the way on turn 2, Ragavan's going to look a lot better. And playing black removal spells in a Grixis shell can definitely help you do that. So I think I'll keep this one. I'm gonna bobble myself to start. Ignoble Hierarch. Yeah, I think I will draw that, and I'll just play it. Mostly because I'd like to play a Turok on turn 3, if possible. That might change my play here. Yeah, I'm probably supposed to just kill this. Get that guy out of the way. Yeah, they would have so much mana here if I didn't do this. So their hand's pretty good against ours. think I'm gonna take the pillage and play out an ignoble hierarch. Is this deck just like the nuts now? Why is everybody playing this deck? We've run against this twice now. They didn't even get any new cards, did they? Like we're still playing pillage. I guess pillage targets artifacts. So like if there's a bunch of artifact decks running around, you just have like incidental value against them, I suppose, but did you find a pillage off that? Oh my god, that's disgusting. I need a green source off the top. I will concede. I'm gonna bring in the brutalities. They're better than like thoughts. Well, they're probably better than like inquisitions actually. Being able to kill their elf and also like on turn 2 there, if we had chosen to abrupt decay their elf, but if we just had a collective brutality there to not only kill their elf but also take a peek at their hand, take away their card, we'd be in pretty good shape. I'm gonna keep this. I feel like we just keep getting put in spots where I have to keep greedy hands against this deck, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna keep it every time. Go grab an overgrown tomb. Yeah, I'm gonna get the collective brutality that. Yeah, I'll discard the Torok. I don't think there's going to be a spot where I get to land that. Take your pillage. Yeah, that's pretty bad for us. I considered playing the Tarmogoyf out last turn. This, however, it's not that bad for us. Just gonna go ahead and fatal push an elemental. Thought sees you, take whatever card you drew. Yep. Hey. Tarmogoyf. This boy's a beefy one. Attack for 6. If I draw a red source, I believe they're dead here. Cascade into a... Shouldn't have said anything. I just knew that I was gonna die if I just said something. He just cascades into bolt and I'm just dead. Oh, that's so aggravating. I have a massive Tarmogoyf in play. What's my next card? He's just dead if I just drew a red source there off the top. That is quite disappointing. Of course, there's a red source. Man, it's so frustrating, chat. But it is what it is. Okay, we went 2-3 with Jund Lurrus. We lost to Ponza in the end there last round. We lost to Titan and then Infect. I think the Infect match was the only one we were probably supposed to win. It's definitely close. The one card that I drew that it was kind of the swinger was the Abrupt Decay, and we had boarded out one Break the Ice for the spot of Abrupt Decay in game 3. I thought that Abrupt Decay was going to be more relevant than Break the Ice. There's obviously a lot more targets for Abrupt Decay than there are Break the Ice, but I ended up needing the Break the Ice when I drew the Abrupt Decay, the second Abrupt Decay, so we knew it specifically like that would have been a Break the Ice. So yeah, a little bit feels bad there. The Titan matchup is like not close in our favor. It's pretty well in their favor. I would give it like 65% in their favor, probably pretty close to that. Not too sure. But the Dothy Voidwalker made the second game interesting, at least. Dothy Voidwalker let us cast a Primeval Titan, which is cool. I think this deck is sweet, but I don't know that it's like good enough is a problem. We didn't get to cast Turok very well on curve at all this game, at all this this event. The Ignoble Hierarchs ended up dying a lot more this league than in previous leagues that I've run through this with this deck. So I think in total now, I 3-2'd the last league that I played with it. I 2-3'd this league. And the first 2 leagues that I played with this deck, I 9-1'd with it. So in total, I'm on... What is that? 14-6 or something like that. So not super great. It's like a 70% win rate or something like that. Which is, you know, pretty solid, but, you know, nothing like super crazy. So also in for clarity, the first 2 leagues that I played were on like the first night that the releases had happened. So basically no one had new cards and nobody knew how the new cards worked. So everybody was casting things directly into my Dothy and it was not working out very well for them. So Yeah, I don't know. I think if things kind of swing more towards this artifact style metagame, we're gonna need a lot of like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, how do we beat the Ponza deck that's just trying to mess with our mana the whole game? I mean, Ren is a really good way to beat pillage decks, but it doesn't, it's like, we still just can't like beat Blood Moon outright. Maybe we need some way to interact with Blood Moon out of the sideboard. That's probably, Abrupt Decay's fine, but probably need something a little bit better. Don't know. Open to suggestions on this one. I think I'm gonna tuck this deck away. I think next time I stream, I'm gonna try out another list. We're gonna try out something Grixis styled, or I have another Jund shell that is playing as Mora, and some of the sacrifice outlet creatures like Mayhem Devil and Witch's Oven and Cauldron Familiar, stuff like that. It's just kind of food based, collected company Jund stuff. So we'll see how that one goes. I think that one will be interesting. So I'm not going to play that tonight. We'll probably play that tomorrow. So for those of you who are still watching, I appreciate it, and thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.